What's up guys,
Here's Johnny!
here with another video.
In this episode, we're going to be checking out Ragnarok on Ark Survival Ascended. But this time, we're going to be getting back to the solo grind, trying to get ourselves some gear and dinos, so we can get ourselves into some good action on the new map. Hope you all enjoy the video. First things first, we got to get ourselves started, get ourselves a starter base up, get a PT knocked out, get ourselves some metal and some metal tools, and continue progressing from there. Alright, so I got myself going with a little starter base, got myself a smithy, some forges, a mortar, but I don't think I'm going to want to stay here too long. It seems to me that there's a bunch of other people living nearby, so let's just hope that we can get myself a PT and a saddle real quick so we can get on out of here. Alright, so I think these guys know I'm here. They've been super close to finding me and killing me. I don't really want to lose my metal tools and have to start again with that. I've already got a PT knocked out, I'm just going to need a saddle for it. But I'm going to have to play it safe here, maybe have to hide out a bit and make sure these guys can't find me. Hopefully they don't go and grief my PT, that would really suck. But let's see if we can get out of here in one piece. Alright, so I was able to sneak out undetected. I've got to go check on our PT now. I at least have some lamb chops to give it, so hopefully it'll tame up real fast. And then we'll be Gucci. Alright, I've been grinding out here in the starter base. Got myself a good amount of resources and gear to get going. And last but not least, I need to get myself a flak set. Then I'll be good to go, and we're going to be on our way to bigger and better things. And I'm more than happy to say goodbye to this crappy starter base. I've just come back from going out on a bit of a taming spree, and there's a few items I kind of still need to complete my little basic kit, so I'm going to get myself some grapples and a few more bolas, and I've been crafting up a bunch of gunpowder. Hopefully we can put that to good use and find a little raid to do. Next up, we need to find ourselves a pyromane. And look what we have here, level 145. Let's go. I decided to go and get myself a super low level one. It'll make it a lot easier for me to go and get that 145. I've been looking over here and it looks like there's a guy getting harassed by some wild pyros. So let's go see what we got here. Maybe I can snag some of his loot. And it looks like he had a couple things I can use, but nothing too crazy. Alright, let's go and get ourselves that 145. Luckily, that guy actually had an upgraded metal hatchet, so that's going to make it really easy to damage the 145 pyro. So hopefully I can tame this bad boy without any major issues. Alright, let's go. Easy. Alright guys, I got myself a bit of gear and some tames, but I've got no safe place to put everything. So that's where this Quetz is going to come in handy. Gotta get ourselves some of these pearls so we can get ourselves a Quetz saddle, and we'll be on our way. Alright boys, we've done it. We are living in the skies. We are sky people. Time to go crazy. Alright, so I'm out here farming some paste from the beaver dams, and I came across this enemy RG scouting me out, so I quickly got prepared, and it ended up spiraling into about 30 minutes of PvP with this whole tribe. And here's how it went. Alright, so that PvP wasn't really getting anywhere for me. It was getting a bit too hard to kill them and get some of their loot with so many of them. So it's time to dip out and get back to my Quetz so I can start building it out. Alright, so my Quetz platform base is looking pretty nice, but it's a bit far from all the resources and dinos and stuff, so I decided to go and build out a little shack in this little rock hole I found. It's right next to the pyro, so I guess I'll end up taming a bunch more of those. I definitely like to get a good breeding pair going, so let's see if I can find any good levels.
20 minutes later.
And this one came out not too bad, 5.5k HP. I'll definitely live with that. Alright, now that I got some good pyros going, it's time to go beef up my PT line. Hopefully get some good stam and weight and HP. Got a couple of high levels out here. Hopefully they turn out pretty good. Alright, so I'm out here farming narco berries with a parasaur like some Bob, and I get jumped by the same tribe that was fighting me earlier, but this time they are a lot more geared up. They got themselves some pyros and some griffins and stuff like that, so I'm looking pretty outgunned and outnumbered, so I'm going to play it smart and not take too much of this fight. Hopefully I'll be able to sneak away at some point if they're not paying attention. Alright boys, I gotta get back to work and start beefing up my tames. It's definitely not gonna cut it flying around on a PT when people have griffins and wyverns and stuff. So I'm gonna be pushing for a high level griffin, like a 120 plus at least, and a 145. Let's go. I keep finding a bunch of 145s actually, that's pretty clutch. Man, this was a super basic trap and I'm kind of surprised it worked, but this thing is super cheap to make, so that's pretty cool that it works. So the griffin came out not too bad, got some decent stats all around, nothing too crazy, but I can't wait to take this guy out for a joyride. Alright, now that we got ourselves a griffin and a decent PT line and pyro line, it's time to get ourselves some farming dinos and get to work with an Anki and an RG. Alright, we're looking not too shabby now. Did ourselves a decent metal run with the Anki and the RG, and this metal is going to help us get some better gear so we can finally start contending with some of the other tribes. Alright, we're starting to look pretty set on resources. Our one problem is we don't have any electronics at all, so I'm looking to go resolve that problem right now. Alright, we were able to do a half decent pearl run. Definitely going to need an angler at some point. This is kind of cancer picking them by hand, but this will do for what we need. We're not really crafting any turrets or anything like that, so we don't need that many electronics. We just need to get ourselves some basic gear. So I'm pretty happy with this. So I've been pretty desperate for some oil to get some gas and stuff, and looks like we found ourselves an oil pump, so hopefully they're loaded in there. Okay, let's go. That comes in pretty clutch. Alright, I've been getting myself a bunch of tame, so I think it's about time to get myself a cryo fridge and some cryopods. Let's see how many I can make. Got a cryo fridge. And 10 cryopods. Alright, not too shabby. Alright, so we found this unpowered TP here. Either it ran out of element or somebody raided it. But either way, I'm going to see if there's any scraps for me here. Maybe some ARB, some shards, something like that. Alright, so I finished up looting these unpowered turrets. Got about 1k ARB, not too much, but it'll do. That's a pretty good drop. 5C4, let's go. Alright boys, so I can finally get myself one of these makeshift mega labs. These are actually nuts to have on a Quetz base, so you can only have like 40 structures on a Quetz. So to save space, it works best to get some structures that can hold a lot of slots in them. And this mega lab can hold 600 slots, so that's pretty OP. So I'm super pumped to get this thing up. I might have to get another one at some point, but for now, this will do. Alright, now I'm going to use the rest of the poly to get myself a chem bench and a couple things. Maybe get myself some rockets and some other PvP gear. Alright, it's time to get a Jenny and a cryo fridge up in this little hidey hole. That way I can throw out some tames and farm berries and wood and stuff like that. It's a pretty tight squeeze here, but it's going to work for what I'm using it for. Alright, so I found a little base here. It looks like their plant X still hasn't grown, and I don't see any turrets. So I'm definitely going to check this out and see if I can snag any loot. So these guys didn't have too much. They had some resources here and there and some gear for me to grab, but it's all free and I'm pretty poor, so I'll take whatever I can get. Alright, so I'm out here looking for some more griffins. I keep finding some pretty good high level ones, like this 140 here, so I'm definitely going to tame everything I can. I'm trying to get some good stats here, so I can start clapping some people with some good griffins. And what is this over here? It's a tame griffin? Who is this guy? He's got a funny costume on. Nice, this guy's the goat right here. Hopefully these will come out real good and they'll help jumpstart my griffin line. Look what we have here, a little baby griffin. First time seeing one of these babies. That's awesome. Alright boys, I got some treasure maps here. Time to go out there and get myself some pirate booty. Alright, we got 2 treasure chests that seem to be located in this Ice Queen cave. Bit of a pain for me to go in here just for these, but I think I might actually see if I can kill the Ice Queen with a pyro main. These pyros are way too OP and they heal way too much. So maybe it'll work and we might actually get ourselves some mini boss loot. Alright boys, this is an easy cheese right here. My pyro isn't even damaged like at all. These pyros are just way too broken, guys. The healing on them really needs to get nerfed. These guys can tank anything forever. These are the best cave running dinos by far now. And Ark keeps adding them to every freaking map, so we're gonna have to deal with them every freaking time a new map comes out. But if they're on the map, I'm definitely gonna tame them. You can't just not tame them. That's a big disadvantage. Alright, we might as well get ourselves an artifact just in case, and we're gonna bail out of here. Alright, so I'm starting to rack up a good amount of tames here. My fridge is actually getting a bit full. I might need to place another one. The griffin line is coming along. Got some pretty good HP on this one here. Could definitely use some better weight and stam though.